So why Peru? Why would you guys choose to get married all the way down in Peru? That's a very valid question. I think that for anybody to have a true appreciation for just how ancient the history in Peru is, the first thing you need to learn about is a little bit about precession and the great year. Now, without trying to make this overly complicated, I don't want to confuse anybody, but essentially our Earth spins on an axis, on a bit of a wobble, and over the course of 26,000 years, the Earth will then proceed through all of the 12 constellations of the zodiac. So what the hell does that mean, right? So that, in layman's terms, that would mean that if you went outside tonight and stared at a constellation in the sky, doesn't matter, whichever direction you're facing, whatever constellation you were facing, if you went out there every single night, after 72 years, that constellation would appear to shift by just a degree, 1 degree every 72 years. If you were to stand out there in that same place for 26,000 years, that constellation would slowly, over time that you're looking at, slowly go out of view, come around behind you, and then 26,000 years later, that constellation would make its way back into your field of view. That's probably the easiest way that I think I can explain the precession of the 26,000, the great year, 26,000 year cycle that our Earth goes through. Now, the Mayans knew about this, the Peruvians knew about this, the Egyptians knew about this. This is a 26,000 year cycle that these ancient, supposedly primitive people, they knew about it. If you remember the big scare, December 21st, 2012, where we thought the world was coming to an end, that was all generated because that was the end of the Mayan calendar of that year. So then we moved into a new year. Okay, so now we know that our Earth goes through a 26,000 year cycle. So what? Okay, well then I guess the next thing that I would need to do is tell you just a little bit about what archaeoastronomers do. And to boil this down to the nitty gritty, essentially what these guys do is they take ancient monuments on the ground and they find correlations between the monument on the ground and the stars in the sky. And this is where this starts to get interesting, because now if you, through using, these guys use computer programs, so on and so forth, through using these computer programs, if they're able to backdate the stars in the sky to where they align with the monuments on Earth, essentially you've got a timestamp for when that monument was built. So then I guess the next thing I'd have to do is take you back in time 12,500 years, and we're going to start this journey in Egypt, at the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now an interesting thing happens when we go back 12,500 years to the Giza Plateau. We find that the 3 major pyramids on the Giza Plateau align precisely with the 3 brightest stars of Orion's belt, Alnilam, Alnitak, and Mintaka. We also find, if we look at the Great Sphinx, for example, if we go back the same time, 12,500 years ago, that the Great Sphinx aligns precisely with the constellation of Leo. If we were to then skip over to, say, Angkor Wat, Cambodia, we would find that the 72 major temple complexes of Angkor Wat align precisely with the 72 brightest stars in the Draco constellation. So if I was to look at this from, say, a skeptic's point of view, I think the first question I would ask is, well, don't you think that's just a big coincidence? Maybe. But then my rebuttal to that would be, do you think it's a coincidence that the Great Pyramid of Giza is located at the center of the planet?
It is exactly at the center of the landmass of our planet. The parallels and meridians which cross the most land only meet in 2 places on Earth. One of them is in the deep blue ocean. The other one is where the Great Pyramid is.
So then, I guess the next question a skeptic might ask would be, are there any other ancient sites that date back to the same time frame? And Yes, absolutely there are. There's lots actually. There's Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Also the caves of Derinkuyu in Turkey as well. There's the Devil's Door right here in Peru. There's the Kailasa Temple and Barabar Caves in India. There's the Yonaguni Monument, which is a pyramid structure that's built at the bottom of the ocean off the coast of Japan. Now, this temple complex was either built underwater, not likely, or it was built at a time where the water levels, the sea levels, were a lot lower, which would have been more than 12,000 years ago. If you were to cross over the border from Peru into Bolivia and check out a couple sites called Tiahuanaco and Pumapunku, this place is particularly interesting. Well, I mean, it's particularly interesting for a number of reasons. Some of these massive stones look as though they've been laser cut. But also the level of sophistication and engineering and stone cutting that's taken place there is closely similar to, or at least on a comparable scale to, what you would find right here in Ollantaytambo, just over at Temple of the Condor.
In the Republic of Bolivia, stonework exists which is amazingly similar to the statues of Easter Island. Tiahuanaco is, in fact, so ancient that it defies modern dating techniques. It is estimated to be over 17,000 years old, perhaps the oldest city in the world.
So, whoopity-doo, Mark. I know what you're thinking. I still haven't really tied this into Ollantaytambo in Peru and how this all fits together. So give me a minute and I'll try and tie this all together for you. This video is to help show that there was an entire world of intelligent beings, an entire global civilization, so ancient that it predates what we've been taught about the historical record. And yes, I do believe it was a global civilization that was very connected to each other, connected to the earth, connected to their gods. Now, I purposely started this journey at the Great Pyramid of Giza because from there, if you were to draw a straight line encompassing the entire globe, if you were to go in either direction, you would pass by a number of ancient sites, a number of megalithic sites, a number of sites that are all interconnected. So if we left the Great Pyramid of Giza and went in one direction, we would go through Petra, in Iraq, where Abraham was born, Persepolis, Mohenjo-Daro, Kajuaro, Pae in Burma, Sukhothai, Angkor Wat, Cambodia, Previer, also on the same line of travel, if you're going through the African continent, you would go through Dogon country, Tassili Niger, and the Siwa Oasis. And you could follow that same line all the way into Peru, and you would go through the Paracas, the Nazca lines, and the Paratori. You would then find yourself traveling through places like Cusco and Sacsayhuaman, and Machu Picchu. And of course, no line of ancient historical sites spanning the entire globe would be complete without none other than Ollantaytambo, Peru. As a matter of fact, Ollantaytambo is one of only 3 ancient megalithic sites still inhabited to this day. It's also close to Lake Titicaca, the heart chakra of the planet. It's a place where we've been to with great friends, and it's also a place where we've met great friends. It's also the place that I proposed to my princess. Oh, and I guess I should mention that ancient line that traverses the entire planet, it ends at the most remote place on planet Earth, Easter Island. So now this one small section, 10-minute section of video took me 2 days to put together. So I hope somebody other than just my cousin Chris found this interesting, and I hope for the rest of you, I truly hope that this is in some way added to the value of your trip. Now I'm tired and I'm going to bed. Good night, y'all.